Welcome to the 25 Days of Empowerment. And this is day 5, April 5th, 2024. I'm Emiliana Patrick. I'm a breathwork facilitator and astrologer, and you can find me at thepatrickpearl.com. If you want to book an acupuncture appointment with me, you can find me at Daoist Tradition Student Clinic in Asheville, North Carolina.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Torres. I'm a self-love and feminine empowerment coach, but my messages are for everyone, regardless of gender identities. We all have a masculine and a feminine part within each of us. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram at tigerlily.and.co.
So today we're going to look at the energy of Mercury retrograde right now a little more in depth. With Mercury retrograde in Aries, we talked in another episode about where have I been too assertive? Well, the other side of this coin is where have I not been assertive enough? You might be noticing a little bit more agitation in your life right now. You might be noticing a little more edginess. You might be noticing a little more punchiness and more sarcasm in your speech. So, where have you been a doormat is a good question for today.
Yes.
You want to lead us into some ideas about this, Tiffany?
Absolutely. And this is a topic that resonates so deeply for me personally, because I do tend to be a doormat. I do tend to be over accommodating, or I explain in my head and come up with these ideas as to why this person is treating me the way that they are. And therefore, I'm allowing it and I'm complicit in it. And so, what I've started to do as I'm interacting with people, and really as I go home and reflect on those interactions, is I try to connect with my own inner self, my own inner sensations, and I create my own inner boundaries. Those are boundaries that are just for me. So if I am in a conversation with someone, for example, and I notice that my head is starting to think about other things, for me, that's a boundary that says, you've talked to this person for too long. You need to either change the conversation or move away or do something. And that's something that takes time. And so those are my inner boundaries. And this is a fairly new concept for me, so it might be new for you. So I just invite you to come into your inner space and connect with yourself and say, where are my boundaries? Before you step out into the world and enforce those boundaries. Because we're in Mercury retrograde, my understanding, I'm not the astrologist here, but my understanding is that communication can be a little bit clumsy, especially if we're working in a sarcastic tone, if we're already feeling irritated. This is a great time to work on your inner world.
Oh, look at that! Look at that! I love it. There's the
Zoom agrees.
Zoom agrees. You know, there's a practice I do. Number one, if I am feeling like I need to say something to someone because I've let a situation go a little too long. And that is also an energetic right now with this Mercury retrograde is what have I been putting off? What difficult conversations have I been putting off? Because now it feels like it's really time to address those things. The first thing I do is I set the space, just really easily, super simple, just take my hands and set the space and clear out the space. Like, okay, here's my totality. I invite the totality of the other person
Mm.
and I speak out loud exactly what I want them to know. And when that feels a little too vulnerable, because sometimes it does, a little too raw, I still invite their totality and I write it out. And I can feel in my pen, I can feel, oh, I'll use a red pen. You know, this is me. Like, I like my energy to,
Yes.
and, and I'll write, like, I'll press into the page and really allow the charge to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And usually in that process, like I thank their totality for arriving. And
Mm-hmm.
I usually say, and here's what needs to change.
I
And I
love that. I love that. It's not just anger. It's not just frustration. It is then because we have to move forward in some capacity. It doesn't just stop there.
no, it's and there's clarity. So
Mm-hmm.
then I'm like writing down or I'm saying out loud, here's what I need to change. Here's what needs to change. And here is my part of that.
Taking ownership and accountability for every interaction you have.
So it's like, okay, maybe, it's pretty amazing what insight could come from this.
Mm.
Like I've just had simple things, little things that made a big difference in relationships.
Mm.
And then sometimes in real life, like always at the end, I should clear it out. Like I thank that person. I usually say, this is why I respect you. This is why I really, if I'm not grateful for them in my life, I don't say it. But
Don't
you,
say anything you don't mean,
right,
even to yourself. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to be grateful for everyone that comes in.
Right. But I can usually find something,
Mm.
or even if I'm like, you are really teaching me
Yes.
about,
The people that trigger us are oftentimes our biggest teachers.
like, you're really teaching me about this.
Yes.
And then I really, the last thing I do is I just invite, if this needs to be said in real life, I'm inviting the perfect time.
Mm.
I'm inviting the appropriate place
Hmm.
and make it, I always say, please, my guides or angels or whoever I'm working with, make it known to me in a way I can understand.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
show me that this is the right time. Give me that nudge.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
sometimes I need to say things in real life, and other times I don't.
I don't. Yeah. Sometimes it's okay to just work through the hurt, the anger, the frustration on your own and continue to move forward on your own. You don't have to take everybody with you.
No, and you don't even need to say everything to anyone.
Mm.
Often, and I can never predict. I can't ever predict when I do this. And then I usually say, go in peace,
Mhm.
at the end of it. I never know like what actually needs to be said in real life, what
Mm.
actually doesn't need to be said. And sometimes the real life conversations can be edgy, but
Yes.
there's an undercurrent, that undercurrent of this needs to happen now.
Mhm.
It's not detrimental. I've never, having done it in ceremony first or just energetically first, it kind of paves the way for the highest good. And
Mm.
that's the other thing to add at the end of
Yes.
your, go in peace. All of our interactions are for the highest good of both of us and for the highest good of all.
Yes. Yes. And at the end of the day, when I decide whether or not I'm going to have that conversation, and it's sometimes a decision that I'm making in ceremony. If I'm going to say anything, this is what I'm going to say. And when I walk into that conversation, it is not with the expected outcome that this person will understand me, that we're going to come to a joint truth. The the intention for me as someone who struggles to speak their truth is I am going to speak my truth. And at the end of the day, as long as I do that, no matter what the outcome is, I know that I've honored myself and that I've learned that lesson.
That is healthy Aries energy.
I love it.
That
I
is that is healthy assertiveness, healthy, um, go, that's
say it, but say it kindly. I want to iterate. This is after sitting with it, journaling with it, talking to my therapist about it, talking to my inner circle about it, and then moving forward without that attachment to outcome.
yeah. So if you're noticing you're a little edgy, if you're noticing that this is happening for you, we are with you
Mhm.
and we feel it too. And this is just some ideas of how we work with the edgy combination of Mercury retrograde in Aries.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck.
Lots of support and love.
We love you.